So welcome to episode 4 of our songwriting course. And in this episode, I want to talk briefly about what kind of writer do you want to be? Do you want to write for Justin Bieber? Do you want to write for yourself? Are you planning to be an artist? Or do you want to write in a broad scope of genres? This is important to know. There are a few singer-songwriters today that I feel are breaking the mold and doing really interesting things. Maybe you want to try to touch on them and listen to them a little bit to get an idea of what I'm talking about. One is Daniel Rossen, who just came out with his first full-length solo record, though I think he's part of the band Grizzly Bear. His new record, I think, really stretches boundaries, especially in arrangements and approach, and I found to be really interesting. If you want to go even further out with someone who has had pretty wild success, and I really think a great deal of, is Richard Dawson, who's an English singer-songwriter. Richard just doesn't care. He does whatever, and it works, and he's amazing. And if you really want to stretch your boundaries and see where music can possibly go, as far as it can go, in my opinion, you can check out my personal favorite, the late Scott Walker. Check out anything from the last 20 years of his career and have your mind blown about where you can go and what you can do as a writer. That said, in episode 2, we talked about recognition, revelation, transcendence, and liberation. So I want to touch on those first two really briefly here, and this is connected to what kind of writer you want to be. Everybody I know who's an Americana, folk, or even country singer-songwriter or artist knows who Steve Earle is. And every one of those people know his song, Copperhead Road. So I'm going to read to you the first verse of Copperhead Road. Well, my name's John Lee Pettimore, same as my daddy and his daddy before. I hardly ever saw Granddaddy down here. He only come to town about twice a year. By 100 pounds of yeast and some copper line, everybody knew that he made moonshine. And now the chords change and it gets dramatic. Now the revenuer man wanted Granddaddy bad, headed up the holler with everything he had. It's before my time, but I've been told he never come back from Copperhead Road. Now, recognition. My name's John Lee Pettimore, same as my daddy and his daddy before. Boom. A lot of us been named after, whether you're male or female, you've been named after somebody. Not always, but a lot of the time. So immediately, there's some recognition there. Revelation is where he brings it. Now, that's just the first 2 lines. Revelation was, I hardly ever saw Granddaddy down here. He only come to town about twice a year. By 100 pounds of yeast and some copper line, everybody knew that he made moonshine. Like, oh, okay. That's a lot of detail. It's very descriptive, and it really opens up the story and pulls you in. And then to hit you over the head with, now the revenuer man wanted Granddaddy bad, headed up the holler with everything he had, but it's before my time, but I've been told he never come back from Copperhead Road. Now that's some songwriting. No matter what genre or what style you like, that's some serious, brilliant songwriting. So that's what I want you to start thinking about. Telling stories, recognition, revelation, and to get back to our first point, what kind of songwriter do you want to be? You want to write hits? Cool. We'll hopefully help you cover that. Or do you want to be an artist? That's a whole nother thing. Cool. Or do you want to write a lot of different genres? It matters. So you have to get your head around that, and it'll help you focus to where you want to go. See you in the next episode.